Hey everyone, Drew Hinton back again with day 2 of the National Safety Stand Down to Prevent Falls in Construction. So today we're going to focus on making sure that our employees have the right harness for their job. So it's not just enough to give them a harness and kind of tell them to come back if you need something, although that's what some companies may do. But as we think throughout the course of that person's career, they may change either jobs. They may go from just normal operations to maintenance. Maybe they add on a rescue role. Maybe they are part of your confined space rescue team or rescue from heights, whatever that may be. And so now things have may changed. Or your workplace has changed. And so back in 2016, when OSHA updated their walking working service standard and required that any fixed ladder 24 feet or more above a lower level have either a personal fall arrest system or a ladder safety system, that signified some changes from our PPE standpoint. Because if I'm using that ladder safety system, I'm using either the guard, the rail that goes up the middle, or some kind of cable, then I now have to have a harness with a sternal D-ring. So if we just issued them a standard harness that just has a dorsal D-ring on the back and just assume that it's good for everything, they come up to a situation where they're having to climb this 24-foot ladder that has that ladder safety system. Some people will stop and go to their supervisor and say, hey, I need a new harness. Some people won't. Some people may just climb that and now they're out of compliance because they have a system that they're not using. And so making sure that we have the proper ones, reassessing those needs in the workplace. And so a few years back, ANSI got rid of that kind of 5-year guideline as far as the replacement time frame for our harnesses. And so it was good because now we're not throwing away perfectly fine harnesses that had no issues. However, there was a drawback because now some companies are not looking at their PPE as often as they should be. Now, there are some employers you may be doing it at your place that's just as effective, and we're still continuously looking at these things. But for those that don't really take a focus on that, maybe we're not looking at it as often as we should. And so maybe when I gave this harness to them 10 years ago, it was fine for what they needed. But now, again, with these OSHA updates, and maybe they have changed different roles and responsibilities, maybe they need a different type of harness. So not just going and buying them the same exact thing again. Now we maybe need this, in addition to this dorsal D-ring, now maybe I need a sternal D-ring. If I have some kind of rescue situation, maybe these little grab handles for pulling somebody out of a confined space or just any kind of rescue scenario. So maybe we have to have a side D-rings on here for some kind of work positioning or tethering or restraint. So lots of different situations that we may be going into. So again, we need to periodically review our employees, look at their roles and responsibilities. Have they changed since we looked at this stuff? And so some companies are good about having, at least once a year going through and making sure that they have all the proper PPE, use as a time to talk to them about their inspection. But again, some of those are not. People get sent across the country. Maybe we only see them 1 or 2 times a year, and we don't really get to have that face-to-face conversation. And so again, making sure that we are emphasizing the proper use of these harnesses, and if we need to change that up, making sure those resources are available. Because again, some employees will come to you and say, hey, I need a harness that has a sternal D-ring so I can climb up and use this ladder safety system. Some will not. Some may not even be aware of that requirement. They just think it's something that kind of gets in the way while I'm climbing that fixed ladder. But making sure that we are advising them if there are any regulatory changes or changes in your workplace, we're letting our employees know of that. And if there are, things that they are noticing, maybe this harness doesn't work properly for them, and they need to, come to you and tell you what those hazards are and tell you what those work site conditions are. That's what we want to do. We want to have a two-way communication with our employees. It shouldn't be just the safety professional or operations, whoever's in charge of the PPE program. It shouldn't be just that person giving the PPE out to the workers and then telling them how to put it on, going through the whole training ordeal, and then just kind of leaving it at that. It should be us issuing the PPE, telling them how to properly use it, inspect it, maintain it, so on and so forth, but also them being comfortable to come back to us as the employer and making sure that they are letting us know if anything changes in the workplace. Because it's impossible for us to be at all job sites at one time, so we need to rely on that two-way effective communication between our employees and our employer. And so again, make sure they know what those different types of harnesses are, how to evaluate your scenario to figure out what you actually need, and then if you give them a different type of harness that they haven't used before, you're going to have to do some retraining or at least initial training on that to make sure they know how to use it properly, to inspect it, how to hook up your equipment if they have to use different types of lanyards, or maybe they have to use a rope grab, whatever that may be, making sure they are comfortable, trained, and familiar with that particular piece of equipment. So can't just throw it at them, make sure we're good to go. But of course, if you have questions on this, always consult with your equipment manufacturer. So always go back to, if you have Malta Dynamics, if you have DBI Sala, Miller, no matter what brand it is, if you're using a harness, look back to the user manual or operator's manual to make sure that you're using it as intended. And if you have questions about it, you can always reach out to the manufacturer. We'll be glad to help out, but make sure that you are using specific information from your manufacturer, because they all do fluctuate just a little bit. So hopefully this helps. Again, have those two-way communications and conversation with your employees, and it'll go a really long way. So again, have a great National Safety Week. Make it effective, and make those conversations are taking place. Thanks.